Welcome to day 3. So I noted in the last lesson that today we would cover how to create a list of items. If you've used a normal text editor, you might do this. This is my list. Here is another item. This is fairly common, right? Well, with an HTML, what would happen if we just saved this and came back and viewed it? We would get it all on one line because remember, HTML, it's not going to honor this white space unless you tell it to. Instead, it's just going to read this all as one long string, as you can see like so. So there's a couple ways around this. One is to use what we call a break element, and that means create a line break here. Let's do that now. I can do BR and self-close it as we did up here, or it's equally okay for you to do it like so. So let's keep it like this way for now. As a rule of thumb though, try to be consistent. So if you leave it off, try to leave it off in all places of your document. It'll make it a little cleaner. So in this case, I will go ahead and remove that like so. And now if I come back and reload the page, can you see that now each one of these is on our own line? But again, as soon as we add another item, I'll save that and come back, it's all going to be on that own line. So you need to specify each place where there's a line break. So what if you wanted more than one line break? You could add another one. So now I'm going to say have 2 line breaks, like so. So as you can imagine though, this is the way it was done in the old days, and this can really quickly create very, very sloppy code. So it is okay to use a break element when that is really what you need. You need a line break. However, most of the time you'll find there is a better tool for the job. In this case, we're trying to create a list, but we're not using actual HTML markup to create a list. Let's do that now. We specify a list by doing UL. Now, there are a couple types of lists, and we'll go over each one today. This one is called an unordered list, which means we're not doing this in numbers, meaning number 1, number 2. There is no order, so we use unordered list. Again, I close it out because I have to specify when this list completes, and that's the only way I can do it. Let's add a list item. So I don't simply add my items here. I have to use another tag, and this is called a child tag, list item. And now I will say, go to them all. Maybe we have our tasks. Again, I have to close out my list item, so let's save that and see what we get. Now again, note that by default, it doesn't have to be this way, but by default, we have a bullet and it's indented a little bit. Now this is important for me to drill into your head. A list does not have to be formatted like you would normally see, whether it's tasks or anything of that nature. A list simply refers to the most basic level, a list of items. That's it. As long as what you are adding within your list conforms to that, then it's fine. There is an element called definition list that we'll look at shortly that is the same way. A definition list has a definition followed by the term followed by the actual definition or the details. And you can have a list of these. So as long as it conforms to the word list, you can use it and you don't need to worry about how it looks on the page by default at all, because that is all overridable. Let's add a couple more. So I can do this manually, or it's common to select the entire bit of code. And here on the Mac, I'm doing Shift Command Right. On the PC, it'll probably be Control Shift Right. Then I will hit Command C or Control C and Command V or Control V. And I will assume that you have a basic understanding of how to do those types of tasks. So now we will say shop, and we'll do one more, get gas, and drive home, like so. Let's save that. And note that we have a bit of spacing here. Always try to be consistent. So if we don't have any spacing up here, we probably shouldn't have any here. Now, this all comes down to personal preference. So the key is be consistent. If you like a spacing, like I do this sometimes to give some breathing room, then always try to do that here. Otherwise, it can get a little messy when your markup is inconsistent. I'm going to save that, come back, refresh the page, and now, as we would hope, we have a nice list of items. So if we were to come back, and let's say we want to remove this and we want to provide a heading, things I need to do today. Well, on this page, the most important heading is things I need to do today. So I will do H1, things I must do today. And I'm going to close that off. Save it, and now we have a nice task list. And this is something you could do on your own. If you need to keep a list of things you need to do that day, you can code it in HTML, and you don't have to worry about using a program like Word to format it, because this will work perfectly. Next, let's take a look at an ordered list. And the only difference is, rather than using UL, we use OL. Now, Sublime Text has a nice feature where if you select a bit of text, and on the Mac it's Control-Command-G, you can see that it will select every occurrence of that sequence. So what's nice about this is it will create multiple cursors. If I wanted to change this to an ordered list, after pressing Control-Command-G, I can now type OL, and notice that it updates in each section. On the PC, on the other hand, you will press Alt F3. So for example, if I said hello, and down here hello, and then maybe up here hello as well, I'm going to select this word, press Control-Command-G on the Mac or Alt F3, and it's going to select every occurrence of this. But it's not just a find and replace, it creates cursors. If I zoom in, notice that there's a cursor here, here, and here. And now I can delete that and write goodbye. Believe it or not, this is a very new addition to code editors, and it's vital that you use it. We joke these days that I couldn't imagine not having this option available. And I also want you to note, it's only available to my understanding in Sublime Text, but it'll surely become available in other editors in the future. But it's a very good technique to have, especially in situations like this,